My background is somewhat unique. I grew up as the oldest of five. My mother had me when she was just 18, out of wedlock. She subsequently married, had four other children, and we grew up on the enlisted side of the Navy. The environment, or where I lived as a Navy dependent, differentiated or was different based on what state you were in. In the South, I pretty much grew up in a segregated school system, and it was quite challenging because as we were growing up, my mother, who never got a college degree but was a very smart lady, she ended up she got an associate's degree up until that point, but she would make sure that when we came home from school that whatever books we were reading, we would reiterate and reread the stories and the lessons. Even though she was a nurse and working very hard, she wanted to make sure that we did as best as we could, and we were always taught and told that we're as good as any other kid, and don't feel like you're not as good and you cannot do well. We went to live in Long Beach, California, and it was the first time I had actually been in an integrated school program. Up until that point, the only white people I had ever seen were on television. But Long Beach was a big Navy town, and it was in California. So there was a big difference from the West Coast as opposed to the South in terms of integration. Going from Long Beach, California to West Point, it was a decent foundation, not the greatest foundation. I still struggled, I think, academically because I used to joke that I was taking two foreign languages at West Point, English and German. But I struggled through that, and the one course where I really started to light up was chemistry. I had a chance when I was in high school to take an organic chemistry class, and that was something that once I took chemistry at West Point, it lit a flame in the back of my head that said, wow, so exposure is how all of this works. Because I ended up doing great in chemistry. I was in the top sections of our class. What that taught me was that, if one has exposure to these types of courses or any kind of experience, it's just going to, ensure, or at least help ensure a greater degree of success. So one of the things that I took away from that was that if I ever had kids, I was going to provide them with as much exposure as possible and give them the best foundations ever to make sure that they're even more successful than I am in college.